You're welcome back. And if you've just joined us, this is Enterprise Morning. We're now heading into our main conversation segment. There is palpable outrage in Nigeria over a video circulating on social media that showed an Islamic cleric placing a fatwa for First Lady, Senator Remi Tinubu. He wants her killed for supposedly being the leader of the infidels. Well, infidels in that context roughly translates to non-Muslims in Nigeria. The Islamic cleric, not being satisfied with having two Muslims occupying the highest offices in the land, that is, those of the president and vice president, took exception to the fact that the First Lady, Remi Tinubu, is a Christian, and as such, the leader of infidels. That's the reason for the fatwa. Well, but the question is, in a nation with a national question that seems all but intractable, will the cleric be arrested, charged to court, prosecuted, and served justice? If only to guarantee the secularity of the Nigerian state as provided for by the Constitution. I still have with me in the studio Mr. Sheson Okwande, Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst. Mr. Okwande, thanks once again for staying back with us.
Thank you for having me
Yes.
and keeping me on my seat.
Well, this is a grave matter, isn't it? We've had the youth wing of CAN come out to say this is unthinkable. They've condemned it. We've also had the likes of Senator Shehu Sani come up to say, come on, man, what are you talking about? But a fatwa in 2024 in a country that says it's a secular state, could you weigh in on this matter?
Thank you very much, Cyril. Sincerely speaking, I ask myself the crop of religious leaders that we are having these days, if indeed they are speaking the heart of God and they are speaking the mind of themselves. And we've seen practically the way and manner they've done things. While I will state this, that while Christ was on earth, and even Prophet Muhammad, like they will say before they ask for my head, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when you call the name of the Prophet Muhammad, the kind of life they live, I'm not saying that entrenched in some of those religious leaders. They come out with the word of peace. You won't hear of any. Even when the disciples are overreacting, they tame them down because they are known for peace. Because the God that is at the center of everything is the God of peace. So when you hear a cleric coming out to talk about killing someone because it's not part of you, what other things do you want? You have the president, the vice president, who are of your own religion. This kind of a person will not entertain a situation where you can even have other religions being your tenants. Is to tell you,
or employees.
And part of the things, either of the two religions, because I've had opportunity to have studied both. I'm a Christian, but because of the nature of the work I do, I try, and I have a lot of them as friends. So the two religion preaches peace, tolerance, be able to accommodate one another. But the average leaders are so greedy in nature. And that's why I keep telling individuals that the corruption we're talking about is what's mobile from the religious places. What comes out of the altar. A sacred place, if you have to go religious, has been so diluted that a lot of these so-called religious leaders are after their pockets. I'm young enough to tell you that while we are growing up, you dare not come boastfully on the issue of money when people don't know the source of it.
Yeah.
The people that you make to be fathers or pillars in the church are people you will trace certain work.
Yes.
Hear about some of them who are group managing directors, some of them who are chief finance officer, that you can see
at the end of
track record
affair
of where they've been and
of what they are
yes.
doing.
Yes.
But now somebody wakes up today and is given either of the religious houses good morning, and we sing praises of them
God
without
has
asking
blessed
God.
him. God
That
has
is
blessed
God's
him.
blessing. He's carrying the
You cannot
grace of
question
God.
God.
You see, God does not look at it. You know that this man is antecedent. It's wrong. But you come up to say there is nobody God cannot use. There is nobody God is not respected. You see, you look at the face, you are looking, but the intent that you cannot see of that man is what God is looking at to have blessed him. And that man has just killed series of people to make his money and are bringing it before the altar.
But let's even come to the question of the fatwa. Do you see this government arresting this cleric and putting him on trial?
If they don't do
for
that,
such acerbic, inflammatory, insensitive things that were combustible things he was saying.
If that is not done, it goes back to what we've been saying about people doing certain things and not being punished to serve as deterrent to others. So once it goes scot-free, expect more from the two religious houses. You can see the reaction of the youth car talking. So the next thing is for them to look out to eat back.
But the question is the fact that this was said last week, right? And up until days have passed.
And the DSS are still working. They are still studying the video.
You're not sure for a fact.
You don't if you're not hearing anything, but we can see it in the public space, it shows that they are investigating before they carry out any action. But the truth is, how long will that take you before another person give a counter?
Because of course, I mean, we know that the social ferment, when things are allowed to linger, they could snowball into anything.
I'm sure the youth of Khan are actually being cautioned. Otherwise, they would have given a batch of their own side. And it will now be not just one person that you'll be trying to control or tame, but you'll now be looking at 3-4 more people that you'll be bringing into your custody. And that's why we say it is really not too good to allow things to linger. I'm sure they will be looking at it that if this is done, but we are talking of the first lady
of a country, of our
first
country.
lady of our country, and someone is actually talking him down without any action after a week. I don't. The implication is huge, and that's why I said I want to assume that the DSS that are meant
without conceding,
to say they are actually investigating. Possibly that video being circulated online is not real, is doctored, is fractured, is fraud. Give it the name.
It's a deep fake, as we call it.
It's fake news. But even if it is, I expect that by now we should have a report to say this that is going on the social media, we've investigated and we've considered it to be fake news. This was actually, you know, the way AI works now, a lot of people can mimic your voice and be saying a lot of things that you've not said. But it's taking too long. And we don't want a situation, we are battling a lot of problems. We don't want religious issue to come into state.
But let's now bring it into the main issue that it is. Nigeria's national question borders on a number of dynamics. We have issues of derivation, restructuring. We have issues of religion, ethnicity. Identity issues, prebendal politics, and so on. How is it? What till now we are still having such primitive religious inclinations and tendencies and proclivities, and people coming out to say because he's not a Christian, why have we not been able to properly integrate, properly come together to see ourselves first as citizens before as any other thing?
It's quite simple. It's the kind of orientation we keep giving as we grow up. You see in fact, I will always say that this day is worse. You see, while we're growing up, there's this communal way of living. Cereal comes to my house, there is no fence, we relate, our parents are actually there. But these days, it's just myself, my wife, and my children. Even within the same compound, you cannot enter. Those days, we go into our neighbor's house to watch TV. Even we have our own, but we want to enjoy. And tomorrow is coming to my place. And you see these days, parents beating their children, their words, for actually relating with neighbors.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself, what message are you passing? And this we've seen in the last 10, 15 years, that has actually make it to look as if it is not a communal way of living. So how do we correct it? How do we correct those areas? We must go back to those things that we used to have, because it is innate. I remembered my tenants that are actually engaged in my house in Ikorodu were Muslims. They come to it each time I want to do things in church, they come. Each time they want to do anything in the mosque, I go. Because my understanding about life is that we are calling on God. It's just the way, because even in Christendom, do you know that we segregate? An Anglican is different from Methodist, a Methodist is different from Pentecostal, Pentecostal is different. That is even within the Christendom. In the Islamic faith, the Nasrat will tell you is different from this. There are some that. So if we can have segregation, discrimination within the same belief, that you say every Christian knows that their belief is on Christ, every Muslim knows that it's on Prophet Muhammad, but you still believe, and that is the division that we have created, that has now metamorphosed into now when you don't even see your fellow Christian man as a Christian. Say no, the faiths, they don't pray. The church that they attend, they don't pray. They are so lukewarm. What qualifies some of those things? Before now, what we do is that during my chairmanship here as a chairman of an institute, I happened to have a ceremony, a week-long ceremony. And on Friday, I was in the mosque to have their Jumat prayer, because as a leader, I must be seen to carry on my followers. People came after me, some Christians, some pastors. Say, Sheson, we saw you in the mosque bowing down. I say, yes, that's their means of praying. And that on its own spoiled a lot of my members. When I was to now do the Thanksgiving on Sunday, they were in the church. And that record is there. And that is the way we were brought up. I partake in every ceremony, either a Christian, a Muslim, whichever of your belief is what you choose to do. A lot of people, we must go back to that drawing board in such a way that we will bind ourselves against this religiosity.
Aren't you worried that bodies like the NOA, the police, the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, or even the presidency, the DSS, just to list 5 roughly, none of them has said a single thing, as far as I can remember. But, or even if they've said, none of them has done anything. And the question is the government afraid of something? Is the government afraid of political backlash? I mean, looking at our history, is the government afraid? If government can be so afraid as to be cowed, then what is the real government assuming fear it is?
Sincerely speaking, the first agency you made mention of, I want to ask if indeed it still exists. Because I know the activities of those people where people like us are going on. Talked about Mamsa. There are certain songs they sing to us those days.
Mamsa was a phenomenon.
They sing those songs on TV, on radio. We imbibe these. He actually shaped
They were
us
everywhere
as a nation.
They
But
did.
these days, I ask myself the question, if that agency still exists, if indeed they are, and they are far from reality. Because major things that we should be saying to be uniting us are not actually there. And to your question, all the arms of government not reacting to this, if they are afraid of something, I don't think they are. They are just, I feel, because of the level we take religious things in this country, I believe they are trying to be very careful of the sensitive nature of it. You might be shocked that the First Lady might tell them that, well, he desires, that's his wish, but my God. So let's
No, but
stepping down glass.
this is not a civil issue. it borders on criminality.
Of course.
And so it's a crime against the state, not essentially even against the first. But how be that it's even against somebody who is in government at that level?
Not even somebody, we are talking of the first
lady.
You see, it's part of what we keep saying, that in as much we allow this idea of overlooking certain things, it will breed more of such reaction. Before this so-called cleric person spoke, a lot of words have come, not only from the Muslim, even from the Christian. We've seen instances where we've gone out to castigate leaders. While we are growing up, even when our pastors, we move with pastors that we know them to be very prayerful. Even when they see evil ahead, they dare not speak out. They pray to negate such. But these days we come openly. And where I grew up in the faith I belong to, we were trained to respect constituted authority. So when certain things are happening, your place as a religious person is to pray. To avert because you are not excused. You are not, as we're speaking, those religious leaders are not saved. In fact, the most disheartening thing these days is that we go out to occasions, the way they fortified themselves with the security agency, you ask yourself, these are the same set of people that say the Lord is your shepherd, is your protector. So why is he not your own protector? It's out there. It's not only on social media. We go out. I have not seen majority of those things. Some of them might come out to say, I have not asked them to do. Maybe it's the provision of the people that I'm going to feed. But you can give a standing order. What are you afraid of? These are areas where we have missed it as individual, as a group, and it's biting out on us as a nation. It's now more of do what I say and not what I do. If you are praying for God's protection for your followers, you must be able to practicalize it. Not you calling out fasting, and we can see that even your household are not joining those things. It's happening. The members are actually being tutored in such a way to believe that it is when you pray and fast. And you know what certain people are saying? There are people that are not going to the four walls of the church and they are prospering. Is it devil that is giving it to them? It is for you to understand the principles of prosperity. Key into it. You don't need a religious leader. Because I ask myself, this cleric, he has followers. You pick anything up, they rise up and say, why are you attacking our leaders? And that's why I keep saying that the DSS and the concerned agencies are being very careful.
Which then means that Nigeria has a fundamental problem with her identity as a country, and that we now have to be juggling between dealing with issues of criminality that could have consequence on government itself.
You see, we've missed it when we started taking out things to be issue of I and I and I alone.
They say I me aloneism. I me alone.
I me aloneism.
Yes.
That's another vocabulary I've learned today. You see, when you entrench yourself with that, you discover that those that spike up separation. See what happened during the last election. People desecrated the altar of God.
They did.
They did. Prophecies that are not, you are not prophesying about the prosperity of the nation. And that's why I keep telling individuals that the scripture is perfect. Woe unto he that is saying, thus saith the Lord, when God has not spoken. And that's why we are seeing the predicament on so many of them. If the followers open their eyes, that's why I will tell every individual, whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, know God yourself, not about the person you are following. It's not about the God of so much person, God of so much person. Know because you yourself, you carry the glory. You are unique, fearfully and wonderfully made. You must be able to have that personal encounter
Yes.
with the person that that leader is actually talking about. So I have this to say, that for our religious leaders, you see, it's getting out of space that the followers, the elites, let me put it that way, no longer have confidence. Something that happened recently that spikes issue up in the social media with the recent death of Albert Wigwe. I'm sure you read it in the daily.
Sure.
My wife will say, just calm down. Because when I look at the contribution of that man to the church, and what's more, a week after his death, you ask yourself the question, does it warrant it?
I lack words to say to express how I feel about it.
It's me. I've for everyone that cares to listen, you are only creating distance of the followers because you ask yourself, what is the need?
Uncle Sister, please, because we have to go, I'd like you to speak lastly to the imperative of having the right values as a country.
If you observe, I've been an advocate to say we've lost our values.
Yes.
As individual, as a nation. And the first area we must first start from is the communal area in our community. While we were growing up, we were trained to have respect for elders. These days, it's not the talk of the town because every parent feels that I understand it better than Cyril. And I will have this to say, there is a lot of competitive nature in us. I want to outshine Cyril. I want to be known as much more better. You have your strength, I have my strength. That's the truth. Can we look for a way to harmonize our strength for our children to learn from? If that is done, we start rebuilding back the value. The value we have currently speaks to we celebrating the issue of money. It's about money. All you go out for is wake up, read your book, and make sure that you make money. So that's why you see a 17-year-old boy coming in with a Benz that will cost him 100 million. And parents are not asking questions.
And they're everywhere.
Parents are not asking questions. While we are growing up, Cyril, I'm sure you actually made that too. You bring in a pencil that does not belong to you, to your house. You'll be hiding it for your parent to see. Because that on its own takes about 6 strokes of cane. Now is don't beat the child because you don't want anything. Fine, we know we are in the jet age. But we must go back to start reinstating the values that makes a nation. Go to an average American that you're looking at. They have respect for their nation. They have respect for core things. Forget the area where you say lesbianism, all this gay of a thing. There are certain things you see an average Americans, have regard for. They have regard for system. Today, if you bring up a system, if government bring up a system, the next thing an average citizen is looking out for is how to sabotage it. While we're growing up, we protect some of the assets of the government on our own. Because we know that the implication of it is that thing was provided with taxpayers' money. And if you destroy it, it may not be your turn in the next few months. So we want a situation where it starts from home. Our home has collapsed in such a way that the value expected of making a man and a woman is not the right notion. We are getting married for wrong reason and building children on the wrong foundation that is creating problem for them. When we grow up, we've seen instances of people going all out to see how to fail for their fellow classmates who they know they are in less capacity to do things, even out of their schools. I remember over 15, 18 years ago, a child, is it CMS, this young child that died then, that was paying the school fees from the pocket money that the parents were actually giving him. We say, Dad, Mom, I want 80% of these funds that you have actually saved here to be used to pay the school fees. Is it Nifemi or what do they call that child's name? A very young child in the primary school. The family has more than enough. But I told the mother, those separation, can you use it in breeding? Because one thing we keep forgetting, those child that you are not taking care of today will constitute nuisance that
They
will
will.
create insecurity on your part.
They will.
And that's what our forefathers saw that made them to say, no, it's not about you that owns that child. If you don't give him the right value, it becomes a problem
In your old age.
to the community, of which we may not be able to manage if certain things are not done. So we must go back to the values. But the question is, who are the people to give the values? When the current people that we have at the end of our affair are the wrong foundation in terms of value, where do we start from?
That's indeed the million-dollar question. Where do we begin to start from? Mr. Shisokwade, I can't thank you enough for spending your morning with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Siri. It's always a beautiful day to start the week with Enterprise TV as a station.
But thank you so very much. But of course, we also have to say that a nation without values is like a ship without sails. It will just be there on the high seas and it will not go anywhere. That's been our offering this morning on Enterprise Morning, today Monday. We're glad that you kept the day with us. Join us again tomorrow for another exciting episode. Until then, we implore you to join us on Facebook, YouTube, and all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. You may click, like our videos, and subscribe to our channel so that you can get updates as we put them out for you. God bless you and good morning.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.